Okay, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to look at a September 2024 test for the Johannesburg West District. So, in terms of our instructions and information, and the first part is this question paper consists of 5 questions, and you have to answer all the questions. So, on the part two, number the answers correctly according to the number it says in this question paper. But what is important is you are supposed to answer all the questions that are there in the question paper. So going to our first question, that is question one. It reads define the term a floor plan. And our question is called 2 marks. So you see that in terms of the definition of a floor plan, we are saying it is a diagram. A floor plan is the diagram drawn to scale. And it has to be of a room, or a building. And of course, this room or building has to be viewed from above. Viewed from above, and that shows relationship. And that shows relationships between walls, rooms, and other physical features. Basically, this is what we in terms of the description of a floor plan. And of course, this is our question 1.1. Then moving on to the second question, it says write down the name of the symbol below, commonly used on the maps. So you'll see that this is usually shown as a door. So moving on to now 1.3. So 1.3 reads identify the type of map shown below. So this is the map that we are having. And you'll see that this indicates an elevation. This indicates an elevation map. Then move on to our question 1.4. So question 1.4 is interpret the scale 1 is to 100,000. So we need to make an interpretation. So in terms of this scale, we are saying it is represented as 1 is to 100,000. So in this case, it means 1 unit on the map represents 100,000 units in reality, or the practical, or the physical length that we have is represented by 100,000. So basically, put it in writing, it means 1 unit on the map represents 100,000. Represent 100,000 units in reality. So this is what we have on 1.4. So moving on to the next one, 1.5. Statement that the following statement is true or false. When analyzing the best packaging arrangement in material, always keep the following in mind: practicality, optimum use of space, and cost effectiveness. So see that this is true. So this is what we got question one. So move on to our question two. Our question two reads, Gwen borrowed 50,000 rands from a financial institution at an interest rate of 10% per annum, compounded half yearly for a period of 2 years. Calculate the final amount she will have to pay at the end of the loan period. So in this case, we are going to make our calculation as a compound interest. So in terms of first half year, you can take note that it's 10% that we've given is per annum. So it means for half year, since it's being said that it is being compounded half year. So it means for half yearly, if this is for 1 year, for half yearly, it will be 10%. And divided by 2, you get your 5%. So it's going to be compounded using 5%. So we are going to start for the first year, for the first period, sorry, we'll start for the first half year. So for the first half year, we are saying principal amount will be 50,000. So we can as well try to calculate it as in the first year, we are saying first half year, we are saying 5% times 50,000. So we calculate it like this. You see that for the amount, you're going to get 2,500. Then this 2,500, of course, you have to add the 2,500 to the principal amount, which is 50,000, to get the amount that we have, the final amount that we have after the first half year. So we are saying 50,000, and then you add your 2,500. So you add like that, you see that you're going to get your answer is 52,500. So basically, this is for the first year. So we go to the second year. For the second year, you are now using 52,500 as the new principal. So this is the new principal. So in that case, you are now saying your 5% times the new principal, which is now 52,500. You get your amount is you calculate, you see that you're going to get your amount is 2,625. And then to get the new principal, we are now saying 52,500 plus 2,625. So we add it like that. So you see that the new principal again for the second year is going to be 55,125. So this becomes for the second year. Then we move on to the third year. So for the third year again, we are saying for 5% times the new principal, 55,125. Calculate it, we get 2,756 rands, and you get 25 cents. So this is your answer for the interest, and then of course the new principal becomes this amount plus the interest. So you're saying 55,125 rands plus 2,756 rands 25 cents. So basically, this is what we have on that part. So and see that we are going to get your new amount is 57,000. 57,881 around 0.56. So basically, this is what we have on that part, and this becomes the final on 3rd years. Going to the 4th year, and for the 4th year, again, we are saying 5% times the new principal is 57,881.5 cents. So get your interest is 2,894 around 6 cents. So this is now the interest. So to get the new amount is going to be 57,881.5 cents plus 2,894 around 6 cents. So we add it like that, you get your final amount, which is now going to be 60,775 £775.31. So basically, this becomes the final amount that we have. So the question is asking the final amount we have to pay at the end of the loan period. So the final amount is 60,775 £31. So basically, this is what we have on that part. So we'll move on to the next part that we have to see what question we have. So question 3 reads, Mr. Adams took his life-sciences learners on an section to the Madikwe game reserve and they drove from Johannesburg to the Madikwe game reserve and planned to enter the game reserve at the Jetscope gate. The map below indicates the routes, cities or towns and distances kilometers between the places. So route map from Johannesburg to the Madikwe game reserve. So this is the route map that we are given that you just need to go through. Then for the first part of our question, it is give the general direction of the Madikwe game reserve from Johannesburg. So we have Johannesburg in this part. Then we'll check in terms of the Madikwe game, which we have in this part. So of course, we have it on this part. So in terms of the general direction, we are just going to put our directions on this part. Whereby we have our north, we have our south, we have our east, and then we have our west. So in that case, we now connect the Madikwe where we have it here, and then we connect it to where we have our Johannesburg. So from that sense, we can see that the direction is we have got northwest. So it is northwest is our response to that. Then we'll move on to the next part. The next part that we have, of course, we are moving to 3.2. 3.2 reads, explain the shortest route that could be used to drive from Johannesburg to a Jetscope gate. Johannesburg is here. A Jetscope gate is in this point. We have it at this point. So what is the shortest distance? So you see that the shortest distance is to go through this side, and then you reach this. So a Jetscope. So that is the shortest route that can be used. So how can we describe it is now the task that we have. So in that sense, we are going to say travel from Johannesburg to Zerus, which we have at this point. So it's from Johannesburg, you use it this way, then you go to Zerus, and then from there, then from Zerus, now you go to Jedescom. So this is perhaps the shortest route that we have. So in terms of our description, uh, we are going to say travel from Johannesburg from Johannesburg to Zerus via of course, we can say via, check where we have and via, of course, according to what we have got Costa there. It can be via the Costa, which is on this part, via Costa. Via Costa, then from Zerus to Jedescom. Then we get via Costa going to Zerus, and then you go to the final destination. So via Costa, then from Zerus to the final destination, which is so that is the general description that we can give in terms of that. Then you go to 3.3, it means calculate the distance from Zerus and squat against if the total distance from Assenbeck to Ajetskop Gate is 221 kilometers. So we go back to our map, so we can just try to remove what we have. So the distance that we need to calculate is from the Zerus to Squat Dragons. So Zerus is here. Zerus is this part. So from here to here, the distance that we are calculating, but we are given that the distance from Rassenberg to Ajetskop is 221. Rassenberg is here. Rassenberg is here to Ajetskop is 221. So to get this distance from here to here, we are going to subtract the distance from Rassenberg to Ajetskop. We subtract 88.1 and then also subtract 62.1 so that we are left with this part here that we have. So basically that's the calculation that we are going to do. So remember, we've got 221. We can just refer back. We have 221.2 kilometers. So we are going to say 221.2 kilometers. Then I will subtract this one, 88.1. And then also subtract the one for 62.4. So we calculate it like that and see what we get. So we are going to get 70.7 kilometers. So the distance that we have here is 70.7 kilometers. So that's what we have on that part. So moving on to the next part of our question is now 3.4. Determine the shortest route distance from Johannesburg to Swartwagens for all calculations. Johannesburg to Swartwagens. So we can as well try to remove what we have. So Johannesburg on this part, and then Swartwagens we have it on this part. So we can indicate the 2 points here and then here. So Johannesburg to Swartwagens, of course, the question requires us to calculate So we can go via Costa here. So from Johannesburg, then we go this way to Swart Targets. So we are saying we are going to say your 70 here plus 71.9 plus 35.2. So that is what we have. So we are saying in response to that, we are saying is travel via Costa. And then the distance is 35.2. 35.2. And then you add 71.9. And then you add also 70. So we calculate and see what you get there. You get 177 kilometers. So you can show this calculation in your response because the question requires us to calculate, to show all calculations, which means we are going to calculate the total distance that we have. So basically, this is what we have in terms of our question 3. Moving on to our question 4. It reads, the Adams family is traveling from Mthatha to Harrismith to attend the wedding of one of their relatives. I used the strip route map between Mthatha and Harrismith and answer the questions that follow. So we're given the map that we have here and that you need to go through before you answer the question. Of course, first question that we have is the Adams family is traveling to Harrismith on the N6. Do they have to turn left or right to get to Aliwa North? So the question requires us to identify whether they have to turn left or turn right to get to Aliwa North. So we see that to the distance that is being traveled is from Mthatha to Harrismith. So we can just indicate in terms of that, those are points whereby we have our Harrismith at this point. And then if you check Mthatha, we have Mthatha at that point. Then according to our information given, you see that the speed that is being traveled is 120 kilometers per hour. And then the distance, we get it only on this part whereby we have got 662. So basically that's where we have our distance, 662. So in that sense now, we now have our distance from Mthatha to Harrismith. And then for the calculation now, we are now going to say, remember what we are calculating is how long it will take, which means we are calculating time. So we have to come up with a formula for calculating time, whereby we say time is equal to distance over speed. So we say distance over speed. So basically this is what we have. And of course our distance is given, we said is 662. So we have 662 over the speed that we have. Speed is given in the question is 120 kilometers per hour. So we have 120. So we calculate it like that, and then of course the answer that we are going to get is now becomes now our time. So you see that we are going to get your answer is a 5.51, and then we have got of course 66. So this is our what we, but of course from that point we can see that if we break it down, it becomes equal to, of course, this is hours, becomes equal to 5 hours plus, and then we take the fraction part whereby it becomes 0.5116. And then we multiply by 60 minutes so that we convert the comma to 2 minutes. So we calculate like that. You see that when you calculate, you're going to get your answer is 5 hours 31 minutes. So your final answer becomes 5 hours 31 minutes. So this becomes your final answer. So basically start with on that part. Then we move on to the next part, which is now 4.3. Ms. Adams claims that their return trip to cover 1,375 kilometers. Ms. Adams claims that their return trip will cover 1,375 kilometers. Verify showing all calculations whether this claim is valid or not. So return trip, obviously, we are going to multiply by 2. We're going to multiply by 2 the distance that we have between Umtata and Harrismith. Of course, we have got 662. So we're going to say 662. 662 kilometers, and then multiply by 2 to get the total distance of the return trip. So if we multiply by 2, we're going to get 1,324. 1,324 kilometers. So this is the return trip distance. Of course, it's not equal to 1,375, which means basically we are saying his statement is not valid. So basically we give a conclusion that therefore his statement is not valid. So basically this is what we have on this part, and then we go to 4.4. The minibus that Ms. Adams would be traveling in has a fuel consumption of 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers. Calculate how much how much he will pay for petrol for a return trip if the cost of petrol is 23 rand 11 cents per liter. So of course in terms of the return trip, we said we got 1,324. That is the distance of the return trip that we got. So from that point, we are now going to say, according to information that we are given, we are saying that we can make a proportion in terms of the figures that we have. We are saying 100 kilometers is equals to 7.8 is given in this part, 7.8 liters. So the distance that we want is 1,324 kilometers. So we say 1,324 kilometers is what we are looking for. So basically we say what we don't have is 1,324 over what we have, which is 100 times 7.8. So from there, we can now be able to find the total number of liters that we have. So the answer that we are going to get on this part, we multiply now by the amount per liter, which is 23 rand 11 cents. So we calculate it from that point and see what exactly do we get. So if you multiply it, you're going to get your answer is you're going to get your answer is 2,000 rands. We can just get it as 2,386. 386.62 cents. Obviously rounded up to 2 decimal places. So this becomes your total cost for the temperature in terms of liters. So this is what we have in terms of our question 4, and of course, we still have our question 5 that we want to look at. So question 5 reads, Mr. DB is planning on storing food parcels in a storeroom. Start the diagram below and answer the questions that follow. Dimensions of storeroom 6.5 meters by 5 meters. So we've got 6.5 meters by 5 meters, and then we're given also dimensions of. We have got a small part that we have inside, which is 1.2 meters S2 by 0.7 meters. So this is what we have on option 1, and then we've got option 2. Then with that now, our first question is how many boxes may be stored in the floor of the storeroom if Mr. DBA uses option 1? Show all your calculations. So option 1 is this part, and what we need to do is to calculate how many boxes will be stored on the floor of the storeroom. So these are the boxes. So the smaller shape that we have is a box. So this one is a box. So how many boxes will be inside this in option 1? So basically, we use our dimensions whereby we are going to say, in terms of, remember, this is our length for the box, and then for the floor, the length obviously is this one, which is 6 points. We can check in terms of what we have. And of course, we are going to say this one is, we can just represent it in this way, that this side is the same as this side, and then this side is the other side that we have on that part. This one will be the same as this one. So we divide, and then we multiply in terms of the answer that we're going to get. So in this case, we're going to say 5 meters over 1.2 on this part. And then on the other side, so we're going to say 6.5. It means 6.5. And then we divide by 0.7. So we calculate it in that way and see what we get. But of course, if you say 5 divided by 1.2, you're going to get it as 4. And then 6.5 divided by 0.7, you get it as 9. So you don't multiply the answers that you're getting. You don't say 4 times 9, you get your answer is 36. So yeah, your answer is 36 boxes. So basically, this is how you go about it. So these are the calculations that we have that will lead us to the number of boxes. So we have 36 boxes. Then we go to 5.2. Mr. Beer claims that he could pick more boxes on the floor if the storeroom he used option 2. So obviously we are going to compare option 1 and option 2 to see if option 2 has got more boxes. So we have to calculate again in terms of option 2, whereby we are going to say 5 divided by 0.7. So it says 5 divided by 0.7. And on the next part again, we're going to say 6.5 divided by 1.2. So we calculate it like that. So on the first part, I'll try to see what we get by saying 5 divided by 0.7. You're going to get it as 7. And then 6.5 divided by 1.2, you're going to get is 5. So to get the total number of boxes, we write 7 times 5, and we get 35. You get 35 boxes. So that is on the second part. So now it's now a comparison that we are making between option 1. Of course, this is our option 1. And this is our option 2. And this is that option 1 is got 36 boxes, option 2 is got 35 boxes. So option 1 is got more boxes. Then our question is saying Mr. De Beer claims that he could pack more boxes on the floor if the storeroom if he used option 2. Option 2, of course, has got lesser boxes, 35. And then this one is got 36. So this means the statement is not true. So we give a conclusion that the claim is not valid. So we are saying, therefore, the claim is not valid. And this becomes the last question that we have in terms of this question paper. So thank you for listening, and hopefully the video was helpful. And please, let's not forget to subscribe and share to our channel and share the link to our colleagues who are doing grade 11 mathematical literacy. So let's meet again in the next video.